All right, welcome back to BFF Fantasy Football. I'm joined here today. Um, I'm joined today with Izhar. I have Izhar with me.
Yep.
Yeah, so today we are going to be going through the NFL schedule that was released yesterday. We're going to talk about the playoff matchups for certain players that we like and don't like. And also, as an added bonus, we're going to go through and look at the week one schedule, which I've pulled up right now. We're going to go through each matchup and say, maybe a player to watch in that game or players we think are going to break out week one. Not, we don't mean like have a breakout year, but like they're going to come on the scene quick and, they can help you win your at least week one game.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily have to be the star player, or they can be. We're just going off with who's going to perform, who we predict are just going to perform in that game specifically.
Yeah. So we'll start off with the week one games. First game of the season, Thursday night, September 9th. Can't wait. We got Cowboys at Bucks. Anyone in particular you like in that game, Isaac?
Actually, this is a tough one. I believe. Uh, Honestly, if I could, I would kind of steer away from anyone here. Uh, Obviously, I'm not entirely sure what Dak's going to be coming back from gruesome injury.
Yeah, it was a pretty tough
Nonetheless,
injury.
uh, he's playing against the Buccaneers defense, which is good, good. And thing is, I also don't really like Tom Brady. Uh, Early on in the years, usually it takes him a while to kind of get that play going, that high level play going, and so I'm not a big fan of anyone. And but if I would have to choose, I probably go with Dak here. So, I think he's the best player of available. I
Dak
think has the
Prescott.
most talent.
The
Yeah.
thing is, the Bucks defense is solid. They brought back, obviously everyone knows they brought back all 11 starters on the defense. They
Hmm.
played a great game. Dallas has a good high firepowered offense. You know, Probably not as good as the Chiefs, and we saw what happened to the Chiefs. If I had to pick a player though in that game for Dallas, I'm going Dak, just like you. If he's back
Yeah.
healthy, I'm going Dak because we saw, especially if they're down big, Dak um, starts launching that ball. He starts
Yeah.
going
Yeah. Yeah.
crazy. That's what was happening
And
last year.
a big thing too that I want to look at too is that if this Cowboys offensive line is healthy in the beginning of the year, going into this game healthy, I believe they could hold the
Oh
Buccaneers
yeah, they can hold their
front
own. They
seven.
got a great O line.
Yeah.
Not as good
Yes.
as it used to be, but if they're
Like.
healthy and they're good,
Mhm.
they're a solid offensive line in the league.
Yeah, agreed. And the Buccaneers, they wreaked havoc in the playoffs. But you look at the teams they were facing when they faced against Aaron Rodgers,
Yeah,
they were missing Bakhtiari, the
yeah,
starting left tackle.
yep.
The Chiefs were missing
Two
two
outside tackles.
offensive starters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's why I believe they were able to, create the havoc. It's a good defense nonetheless, but there's some areas that needs to be
Yeah.
that there's some concern on the secondary for the
I
Bucks,
I
and
wouldn't
that's
pick
what Dak
any
can take advantage of,
receivers for the Cowboys that are gonna
or the
have like
Bucks.
insane games or the Bucks because the Cowboys
Too much
secondary
talent.
isn't the worst. They're okay. The Bucks secondaries, they're talented, they're solid. I just feel like if you're gonna pick one guy from this game, it's gonna have to be Dak. No offense to,
Yeah.
Zeke or Tom. Tom's never really been a fantasy guy. He doesn't put up
No.
insane numbers for fantasy football. And they got
I
too
have a
much.
couple
The
games
Bucks
here
have a
and there,
lot
but
of
that's it.
weapons that they got to pass the ball
Weapons,
around to.
yeah, and
So
and even the Cowboys,
yeah.
Like,
So I would pick
I
Dak
think
Prescott in that
Dak is the
game. You're the
one
same.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah. All right. So for the
agree.
next game, we got the Jaguars at the Houston Texans. I don't like anyone on Houston. I don't know. If I had to go, I'd probably go with a Jaguars player, and the Texans defense is so bad. I mean, I'm gonna go after another quarterback. I think Trevor Lawrence is gonna have a great week one. Um,
uh,
I'm on the Lawrence hype train, so that's why I'm picking Trevor Lawrence. I think
yeah,
he's gonna have a solid rookie year. I think he's gonna play. I think fingers crossed, hoping he comes out and just plays phenomenal week one. It's a great matchup for him. He's got the lowly Texans. They're gonna be off. I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans don't win a game this year. Even especially if they don't have Deshaun Watson. But
No, if they don't have Deshaun Watson, honestly, scrap the whole season.
scrap the whole season,
Go for
first
the
0 and
go for the number
0 and
one.
17 team in league history.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah,
but
because
yeah, I'm going Trevor Lawrence because their defense is just horrendous.
I for me it's for first game might be a little jitters and all that. I would like to go with Trevor Lawrence, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure. I believe they might want to run the ball a lot, so
Hmm.
that's just a thing for me. And I wouldn't go with any of the running backs because they
Yeah,
got like three running backs there
yeah.
that that could all run the ball. So I probably, if I had to choose, I would probably just if you're looking at matchups, especially defensive matchups, I might even look at the Jaguars this game, or just future
You talking about the Jaguars defense? Okay.
Jaguars defense.
Yeah.
If you're picking by matchups,
Yeah, if you're picking by matchups, you can't go wrong with playing against the Texans every week, I feel like.
hmm exactly.
Especially if there's
And
no Watson. No Watson, go the try and get that defense that's playing them that week.
yeah, and so for me, I think now I would choose the Jaguars defense on this one.
Okay, yeah. Moving on to the next game, we got the Chargers at Washington. Washington's got a great defense. The Chargers offense should be high flying this year. If you had to pick one guy you like out of those two teams, who are you going for?
Ooh, okay. I am going with. I'm gonna go with Keenan Allen. I
Keenan
think Keenan
Allen?
Allen
Yeah, I was gonna say
have a
Keenan Allen too.
very big game.
I think Justin Herbert's gonna have a great year, and I think Keenan Allen could have a big game against that Washington secondary because that offensive line
Exactly.
for the Chargers has been bolstered. They got J.C. Treader, I think, right, the center, and they also drafted the tackle.
Yeah.
So
Slater.
Slater,
Yeah.
yeah, they got one of the best linemen
hmm
in the draft, and the signing of that Packers center, I believe it's J.C. Treader. I could be wrong. He's one of the best centers in the league. Um,
I think it was
is
No, I believe it's Corey Linsley,
Corey?
center from the Packers.
Yeah, Corey
I
Lindsey.
think.
My bad. I keep thinking
And
J.C.
yeah.
Treader, but J.C. Treader's on the Browns, I think. So
hmm
um, I
Yeah.
could be
Corey
wrong,
Linsley.
but yeah,
He
I'd
was the
go
best
Keenan Allen
center.
as
Yeah.
well. Washington defense really good up front. Secondary's not bad, but I'm gonna go with J.C. Same thing you said.
Yeah.
Moving on, Seahawks and Colts. I'm gonna make this one easy. I'm just gonna go ahead and pick DK Metcalf. Um, I feel like that's the solid option there. I don't know how you're feeling about that.
Well, for me, I am actually gonna go with Jonathan Taylor here.
Okay.
Not a big fan of the Seahawks defense,
Yeah.
and
They could both have big games, but I just feel like DK is gonna have a bigger game because I think the Colts defense, secondary wise, isn't the best. Um, I think
agreed,
their
yeah.
starting corner is Xavier Rhodes, and we all know how that goes. So, uh,
Yeah, no, I agree as well. It just, I believe it all depends, how Russell Wilson is basically one or the other. It's either
yeah, I
DK
feel like
Metcalf
Russell starts the
has a good
season off
game or
super hot though. So, and we'll get
no,
into
no.
Russell Wilson later
Russell does
on
start off
because
hot.
we're gonna be talking about the
So,
playoffs. So we'll
mhm.
bring up Russell again later on and DK, unfortunately. So,
No, but where I'm going is basically, Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf. It's usually one of the two, and
yeah.
I'm not entirely sure which one is gonna have the good game.
I'm not a huge fan of
Mhm.
Tyler Lockett this year. I feel like he's gonna have a lower ceiling this year because I think DK is starting to burst out, and DK is starting to show himself top five receiver in the league. I feel like so.
Mhm.
No offense to Tyler Lockett, but he's no DK. But
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So next game, Jets and Panthers. I think we're both gonna pick Christian McCaffrey. Jets
Yeah.
defense, still probably gonna be bad. I mean, we'll see what Saleh can do there with that defense. I know he's a defensive coordinator for the Niners, but they had a lot of talent. Jets do not. So
I mean,
McCaffrey, if you draft McCaffrey with the first pick, you can. I mean, you're gonna put him in your lineup every week, but you can feel really good about the Panthers game or them playing the Jets. Especially
yeah.
Sam Darnold's playing against his old team. I don't know how heavy they're gonna rely on Sam Darnold starting off early, but they can rely heavy on McCaffrey, and I think
McCaffrey.
he was averaging like 30 points in the 3 games he played, or something crazy like that in standard scoring PPR,
Mhm.
and he was getting 10 catches a game. I don't know how much Sam Darnold will throw to him. I still think he'll break a thousand. So let's go McCaffrey against the Jets. He's going to be that's a game that I would like. This is a game that I think like that's going to carry you to a win. If you have McCaffrey, I feel like he's going to carry you to a win this game. So these other games, we're picking players that are good, but guys that are just going to go off week one. I have McCaffrey just
Yeah. Yeah, there's a
destroying.
very good chance he starts off the year with 30, 40 points.
Yeah. Next game we got Vikings at Bengals. You like anyone in particular?
I mean, pick or choose Justin Jefferson or Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
Uh,
Bengals defense isn't the
the
best. I was gonna pick Justin Jefferson. I'm a big fan of him this year. I
hmm
think if Kirk starts the season off not like he did last year, like because that's what we were talking about.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's the thing. So that's why I'm leaning a little bit more for Dalvin Cook
mhm.
because whether Kirk is playing bad or not, they're gonna run the ball.
You think that Vikings defense will be better next year?
I
They just
extremely,
traded
I
Mike Hughes. We just got that news like an hour or two
Mike
ago.
Hughes, yeah, but he even then he was
It could be a high scoring game.
third, fourth.
We could watch out for that game. That could be a really good game. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
could be high scoring. Joe Burrow could put up a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk Cousins and Justin
Kirk
Jefferson,
Cousins
Jamar
could,
Chase. We can
yeah,
see that. That'd be a good game. So
yeah,
moving on,
but yeah,
Cardinals and Titans.
Cardinals, Titans.
Uh, anyone you like in
Yeah.
particular?
Uh,
I can't really think of one if I'm being honest with you. If
I
I had to
mean,
pick one for the Cardinals, I'd probably go DeAndre Hopkins because the
DeAndre.
Titans
Yeah,
were not the best against the pass, especially
they were
against the
not, but
receivers last
they've
year.
improved. They've
Yeah,
improved.
but Kyler Murray likes to get the ball to Nuke, and we saw how well that worked last year. And so
You know what? Yeah,
I think
yeah. I'm agree with you.
yeah, I think they can start the season off with the same chemistry because yeah, there's more targets in Arizona, but Kyler's gonna rely on his number one guy. So I'm gonna go Nuke this
Yeah,
game, and this is a game I would star
agree.
because Hopkins could have a monster game carry to a week one win, and he's a guy you're not spending a whole lot of draft capital on. Obviously, end of the first round, beginning of the second round, so it is high draft
hmm
capital, but it's not like that you're not picking him with the third pick in the draft or anything. So
Yeah, agreed. And you know, uh, like I said, the Titans did improve on the secondary, but I
yep,
also believe they're gonna get better later down the
later
year.
down the yeah
When
yeah. It's like
especially they
to me,
drafted
it's like the
Caleb Farley.
Browns. The Browns are starting 9 new defensive starters, I think, on their defense this year. Not 8, 7 to 9, and
hmm
they're not going to start off the best, especially playing against Kansas City. We'll get to that game in a
Yeah,
second. But yeah.
yeah. Like I like who they drafted. Caleb Farley. I
Oh
think
yeah.
he's a stud. I believe he'll, especially with the whole injury status, he'll pick it up later on the year.
Yeah, it'll
So
be a
personally,
mid-season guy that we'll
yeah,
see. We'll see some of these mid-season players pick it up.
yeah,
Niners and Lions. I'm picking the Niners defense.
yeah.
Or George
The
Kittle. One of those two. Give me the
mhm.
Niners defense or George Kittle because I don't think the Lions are it this year. Dan Campbell, don't like him as the head coach for the Detroit Lions. Thought it was his whole introductory press conference was just I don't know what that was. Biting people's kneecaps off. Watch out, San Francisco. But Jared Goff, haven't been a big fan of him. Only reason he was any good was because of Sean McVay. So
Agree.
I'm taking the 49ers defense in this or George Kittle because the Lions second or the Lions linebacking core don't think they can keep up with George Kittle. I think this game is just going to be a 49ers route. So I have the Niners defense or Kittle. You can't go wrong. If I'm picking a player, I'm picking Kittle. But you know
Yeah, I'm going with Raheem Mostert. I believe Lions just won't be able to stop the run at all.
they won't be able to
Uh,
contend in this game, and the Niners are going to just end up pounding the rock. So look for
exactly. I
Mostert to
believe
just get that late game extra boost of
by
in
second
yards.
half they're just gonna be just
Yeah,
running, running.
they're just gonna be running all over him.
Yeah,
What do we have next? Steelers and Bills. I'm not
yeah.
picking. I'm a Steelers fan, but I don't know if I'm picking a Steelers player. Actually, I am picking a Steelers player. I'm picking Najee Harris in Week 1.
Okay.
Bills rushing defense was not the best. Um, their their pass rush was where they lacked. They did get
They dropped
they
two
did
rookies.
draft they did draft a few they did draft a pass rusher.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping the Steelers come out of the gate and just start give Najee 20 25 touches in the first game. I feel like Najee has a great chance to be Offensive Rookie of the Year because I mean, he could get 400 touches as a rookie. So
Yeah.
I'm going Najee Harris right out of the gate. No, if the Bills, they have a solid defense, but I think if the Steelers just ground and pound, I don't think the Steelers are going to win the game, unfortunately.
Hmm.
So if it starts getting out of hand, they're going to have to throw the ball. Um, and if I had to pick a receiver, I'm not picking Juju or Deontay. I'm picking Claypool. I think Claypool's going to break out. I think he's like a sleeper pick I have where I think he was looking great last year. He could look even better this next year with a year under his belt. But I'm picking Najee. I don't know who you're going for, but
I'm actually gonna go for Josh Allen. I believe
really against
he's gonna
Steelers
come out.
defense.
Yeah, I believe he's gonna come out with the statement. It's gonna this is gonna be a great year for him, and he's gonna take a next step. We've seen him improve year by year, and I think this is a big year for him. And got even more weapons now. Just the addition of Emmanuel Sanders is gonna help, and I believe he's gonna utilize that run game where he's gonna be able to run the ball and all that too.
Hmm.
So I believe with the addition of the run and his passing, eh, he'll probably end up with the most points by the end of this game.
Okay. I'm not mad at that. I don't know how he'll do against Steelers defense because they have a great defense. I'm not saying
Yeah,
that they're
they
gonna
do.
shut him down or anything, but
Hmm.
he could have a solid game. Next, we have the Eagles and the Falcons. Um, Falcons defense is still trash. So as
Yeah,
much as I like the Falcons offensive firepower, I'm gonna go with Jalen Hurts
really.
because um, if he's gonna show up and show out and play really well against anybody, it'll be the Falcons. Their defense is terrible. We saw the shootouts they were getting in with people at the beginning of the season last year. People were putting up insane fantasy numbers against the Falcons. I'm gonna take Jalen Hurts in I mean to win this game. I, I don't know. I'm not sure who I'm picking to win this game, but as far as fantasy wise, the guy that I think is gonna have the best game, most points, I'm gonna go with Jalen Hurts. I just feel
All
like
right.
if he's gonna do anything against anyone, it'll be the Falcons. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Jalen Hurts, but I'm gonna take him against that horrible Falcons defense.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna take a surprise pick in this one. I'm actually gonna take Kyle Pitts here.
Kyle Pitts,
Uh, yeah, I just don't see anyone on that Eagles defense and the linebacker group that try to stop him.
yeah, he could show out week one. That'd be great. That'd be great for his
Mhm,
fantasy owners.
exactly.
Let me tell you.
And I believe Arthur Smith he's gonna want to show something. He's
Yeah.
gonna feel like this is why I drafted him, and we're gonna utilize him.
Hmm.
And what better way against a poor Eagles linebacking crew that
I think that game could be really high scoring. I think it could be a high scoring game.
yeah
Both defenses
can
are
be.
very good. Both offenses have some players on them, so that's one to watch for your fantasy
uh,
value wise. Next we have the Browns and the Chiefs. I'm not a big fan of the Browns starting this game against the Chiefs because Kansas City is like 10-0 in September, and Andy Reid is like the best coach after a bye. It's not after a bye week, but technically starting the season. I don't know.
Yeah, the whole off season for this
Yeah.
game.
So I mean, I'm gonna go Chiefs. Obviously, I think everyone would pick a Chiefs player. If I had to pick
Hmm.
one, I'm just gonna go with Travis Kelce.
Yep.
I like the Browns defense. They have some solid players on there, but they got the rookie Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He'll probably be lined up. I don't know if he'll be lined up a lot against Kelsey, but he's in that linebacking core against Kelsey. No one can guard Kelsey. I'm gonna go with Travis Kelsey. Um, I feel like the Browns
Right.
are weaker interior than they have. They have some solid corners. If not, I pick Tyreek. But either way, I think the Chiefs are just gonna rout the Browns. So I'm gonna pick Travis Kelsey.
Nice, nice. I'm actually gonna go with Tyreek Hill. You mentioned earlier about the whole uh new secondary pieces.
Yeah,
I believe Tyreek. Overall, I just believe Tyreek torch anyone, but
yeah.
uh, the secondary, you need to be talking, you need to be communicating, especially if you're gonna be guarding that guy. You need
Yeah.
to be on
And they're
point.
gonna be
Your
new
team
defensive starters. They're
together.
not gonna know. They're not
Exactly.
gonna. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Tyreek, Kelsey can't go wrong. If you pick one of those two guys, be extremely happy they're playing the Browns, who have all those new
Yep.
defensive starters. Be happy they're playing everyone every week actually, because the Chiefs are unstoppable.
Yep.
So the next game we have Packers and Saints. Who you got?
Who I have? Let's see. So it's a little bit of a tougher one.
It is a tougher one. I'm not a big fan of this matchup for fantasy points because we have. I
Yeah,
mean, we can skip this one if you want. We don't know who the quarterbacks are for either team. So
yeah. Oh, even then, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm gonna say Alvin Kamara probably have a
remember the
solid
game he
game.
had against them last year. He went
Yeah,
off in that Sunday night game against them. So
yeah. I believe.
I think it was the Packers they played, or was it the Chargers? Might have been the Pack. I don't remember. I think it was the Packers.
Uh, yeah. Overall, though, the Packers aren't the greatest run stoppers.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
you know,
Okay. Yeah. I'm
and
gonna just
I
follow your
like the
coattails
team
here, and I'm gonna
secondary.
pick Alvin Kamara. I think they could rely on him a lot week one, especially since we don't know who the starting quarterback is, and
Hmm.
he's one of their best offensive players. So next one we
Yeah.
have Broncos and Giants. Um, who you got? I don't really like this game either.
Yeah, no, it's a very they're both very defensive teams. Not a lot of offense. It's
I would
gonna
have said
go
Saquon,
off.
but the Broncos defense, if they're all healthy, they have a solid defense, and their head
Hmm.
coach, Vic Fangio, is the
Yeah,
defensive head coach. So, um, I don't know. I don't really like anyone in particular in this game. I feel like it's gonna be a pretty low scoring game. So, if you want to go and pick one of the defenses, I would pick the Giants defense. Um,
agreed.
because the Broncos offense is stagnant. So if they get Aaron Rodgers, though, it could be a different story. But for right now, I'm
Yeah,
picking the Giants defense.
yeah. Same.
Next one, Dolphins and Patriots. I don't like anyone on the Patriots offense. I'm sorry, Cam Newton and all those guys. Miami's defense is solid. Both super good defenses. Defensive head coaches. Um, I'm not a big fan of Tua. So again, I'd probably pick another defense, and I'd probably pick the Patriots because I don't believe in Tua. So that's just me.
Yeah. Uh, I yeah. It's, we started looking at these matchups kind of later on in the evening because a lot of
Yeah,
them are very.
they're a lot. Yeah, I don't. These high scoring games will be in the morning, early morning windows for sure. These afternoon games are a little harder to find fantasy value. I mean, look, Ravens and Raiders on Monday night. Ravens have a good
Hmm.
defense. Raiders not really that good, so I'm gonna pick Lamar Jackson in that game. But and then Bears, Rams. I mean, two great defenses. Another low scoring game on Sunday night, so should be a good
Yeah,
game. But
I would go with the Rams defense on that one.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. Give me Rams defense against Andy Dalton.
And the Dalton, yeah, he's
Uh,
starting week one.
yep, yep. I think that's it for week one, though. You picking Lamar as well for the Monday night game, or you got someone else?
Monday night game. Yeah, they
Lamar,
should be able to run all over the whole defense.
yeah,
I don't like the Raider. I don't like what the Raiders are doing. I don't like their head coach John Gruden. I just, I don't know
yeah.
what the hell they're doing with that defense.
No idea.
Even on offense, I feel like they're just getting even worse too.
Yeah. Well, like they had Josh Jacobs and decided to add Kenyon Drake, so now it's like a crowded
Kenyon
backfield. I
Drake,
don't know.
and then let's get rid of their whole offensive line. Yes,
Yeah,
they were
they were
underperforming,
underperforming for the price, but still.
but at the same time, they're, they just got worse.
Yeah. All right. So
They're what they're
those are the picks we have for week one players that we think are gonna have great games in those matchups, players or defenses, obviously. So if you had to pick one guy that you think is gonna go crazy week one, who are you picking out of all these games?
yeah. It's got to be Saquon. Not Saquon,
McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Yeah, McCaffrey.
Yeah, I'm picking
Uh,
McCaffrey too. I feel like it's the easy option, but I mean, he's
yeah.
playing the Jets. Come on,
And
the
if
Jets were one of the worst run defenses last year. Give me McCaffrey.
and for
I
me, a less obvious one would be Mustard.
Oh yeah, most
That's,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yep, I like both those matchups. Obviously, I'm gonna pick McCaffrey.
Hmm.
It's just an easy one to pick. Like if you're a McCaffrey owner, you got that number one pick in the draft. Feel real good about winning week one because McCaffrey could carry you single-handedly. We've seen that. He played
He's
three
done it
games
a
last
couple
year,
times.
but every
Yeah,
3 games he played in, he was a beast. He probably won you your 3 games. So I know I had him last year. He gave me 3 great games. I won all 3. So
yeah.
All right, so now we're going to move on to the playoffs, which now, since the season's extended, it is weeks 15, 16, 17. We're just going to look through the matchups for high-profile players that you're going to spend a first-round draft pick on. Kind of let you know, like, hey, we're not saying you should trade them or anything. Obviously, you don't have to because people get attached to their players, but you might want to look at their playoff matchups. I know this is we're biting off a lot right here, but it's never too bad to look at the playoffs if you think you're gonna make it. So week 15 is the first round of the playoffs. And just going down the list here, anything you see that stands out to you? Anything you should be worried about? I mean, I see Russell Wilson against the Rams, DK Metcalf against the Rams. The Rams, if there's no injuries on that Rams defense, they're gonna be great. And you got to
Yeah.
worry about Aaron Donald, and you got to worry about Jalen Ramsey shutting down DK. So I'd be a little concerned especially if you stack those two. That might be really tough for you in the first playoff matchup.
hmm
So
Yeah, for me, a big one is Dalvin Cook or Justin Jefferson against the Bears. Uh, being a Vikings fan, I've seen a bunch of these Bears games, and they have some issues when it comes to that pass rush from the Bears.
it's really hard because you never want to look ahead to the playoffs in fantasy football, but you do want to at least check it. And seeing a playoff matchup like this is the first one. Say you get Russ and DK, and you're like, oh man, I'm stacked for the season. And then let's say you draft Kyle Pitts. You're like, oh man, I'm looking good. Kyle Pitts is playing the Niners with Fred Warner.
Fred Warner,
That defense is going to be so good if they're all healthy. That's a tough
hmm
matchup. Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley. That Falcons offense is going to have a tough time, especially because that pass rush on the Niners. Russell Wilson, DK are going to have a tough time against the Rams. Like you said, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, tough time against that Bears defense.
hmm
Like easier matchups that I see. Um,
You have Cardinals against the Lions.
yeah, Cardinals, Lions. Kyler Murray could go
Murray,
wild. Hopkins could go wild in this game. James Conner could have a solid game
yeah, yeah,
against the Lions. Um, I would say something with the Texans and Jags. I mean, I guess this goes back to the Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, I'm not saying if you have Lawrence and Russell to start Trevor Lawrence over Russell Wilson. But
yeah.
maybe take a look and see how Russell played against the Rams earlier in the year, because this time they're at LA. So it's always something to look at. But you never want to.
That Chiefs game, the Chiefs game.
Yeah, Chiefs
I
at
know
Chargers.
usually Chargers they do pretty well against the Chiefs.
Yeah,
They handle them pretty well
the Chargers playing pretty well. So I mean, obviously we're not saying bench Mahomes, Kelsey, or
no,
Hill, but that's one to look out at. What about these games down here? Jets. Obviously, you're probably not starting anyone on the Jets. If you have Michael Carter, maybe him, but
mm,
towards the end of the season,
I
mid-season,
mean
Michael Carter could
Miles
pick it up.
Gaskins could go off that game.
Miles Gaskin's a good one to look at.
Yep.
Nick Chubb against the Raiders, great one to look at. Raiders had a porous run defense last year.
Mm.
Um, Josh Allen against the Panthers defense, I don't think they're gonna be that much better. Stephon Diggs against the Panthers, that'd be nice.
Jonathan Taylor against the Patriots might be tough,
Yeah, that might be a tough game. That's
but
gonna be tough.
Belichick
You,
good at
it's hard because you don't want to draft players being with the intention in your head of, oh, I'm gonna make the playoffs, so I'm gonna just draft players that are gonna have easy playoff schedules.
no, no, yeah.
Because that's never something you want to do. Although you do want to at least peek at it because I mean the Patriots defense is tough, and Jonathan Taylor against the Patriots in your first playoff game, it's not gonna be very fun.
This is
So
more around you're getting on to ladder
yeah, ladder into the
into the
season.
draft.
So this is week.
Also within the draft, you start picking up ladder into the draft. Obviously, big guys, you're playing them no matter what.
Yeah,
But you got to start looking at schedules, the strength of
exactly.
schedules. Deeper as we get
Deeper
deeper into.
as you go deeper into the season, you want to make sure you look at it because there's some games on here where some guys are going to go have great games, and there's some games on here where they're going to lay eggs for you in the fantasy playoffs, and that's going to be tough. So let's say you win week 15 and we move on to week 16. Um, let me just take a look through here. So let's say you had Russ and DK, and you guys made it out of the first round, got through the Rams. They had okay games. Then you got the Chicago Bears. Like
Yeah.
it's tough because Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf, you're like, oh, great, these guys solid, awesome. Yeah, they're going to be great throughout the year. They're going to get you into the playoffs if you can, if you get lucky. But to have the
Yeah,
Rams and the Bears back to back in playoff games in the fantasy playoffs is so tough.
especially the way you see Russell Wilson, the way he's
Yeah,
been
he
playing
drops
a
off
couple
at the
years,
end of the
he kind of
year.
drops off near the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's an MVP caliber the first half of the season. He's then kind of the offense kind of just becomes stagnant, and people know how to play against it now,
Yep.
and that's tough.
You got McCaffrey against the Bucks. He played good against the Bucks when he played him last year, so I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah,
But he
there
isn't
is
going to have the
rivals.
same amount of
They know
numbers.
each other.
So Josh
Mm-hmm.
Allen against the Patriots. Oh wow! Vikings go from
Yeah,
Bears to
Vikings.
Rams.
Yeah.
Jeez, another tough matchup for Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Derrick Henry against the Niners. Interesting. Any matchups you like going down the
I
board?
like Nick Chubb against the Packers.
Nick Chubb
Like
against
I
the
said, the
Packers. Yep.
Packers don't have a
Nick
great
Chubb's
run.
got two solid games to come out the first two games of the fantasy football
Mm-hmm.
playoffs, so
Yeah,
that's always
that's
good.
a great
Jonathan
run.
Taylor against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
That's a solid game for him. I'm just looking down the line. Jets and Jags.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence is.
Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, he has an easy matchup in week one, easy matchup in week two.
I
Um,
mean, that Falcons
Falcons
Lions.
Lions. Yeah, I mean if you
God,
got Falcons players, play them against the Lions. Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones. They could have great games against the Lions. So
even Mike Davis does.
yeah, Mike Davis throw him in there. Yeah, why not? Chargers and Texans. Play your Chargers. Justin Herbert's gonna feast.
Yeah.
You got Justin Herbert this week with Keenan Allen. You got him stacked. Guaranteed they are carrying you into that championship game against this trash Texans team.
Also,
Um,
you have to look at too is when you start looking like later on the weather. Weather could be a
yeah,
big factor.
yeah,
Look
they're
at that
playing.
Ravens Bengals games.
Yeah,
That could
that could have weather implications. That might be tough. You got Javonte
be tough.
Williams, right? He's on the Broncos. He's a guy I like.
Monte Williams. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think by that time
I
he's
think
gonna
by
see a
that
lot
time
of.
he'll be the starter. Javonte against the trash Raiders defense. Give me that.
Yep.
I mean, obviously we're not saying steer clear of Vikings and Seahawks players because they're playing the Bears and the Rams back-to-back weeks in the playoffs. But it's just something to look out for.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just something to look out. So let's say you make it to your fantasy championship game. You're in the championship game. You're feeling good about yourself. What matchups do you look at? Like with your star players again, guys, you're gonna spend high draft capital on McCaffrey against the Saints. Not that bad. That he could be he's gonna be McCaffrey. So that's a solid
Yeah.
game. You got the Bucks against the Jets. I mean, if you have Ronald Jones or someone like that as your RB2, that you drafted in the mid rounds,
Flex. Yeah.
yeah,
Could be.
be a great flex play right there.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor against the Raiders.
Raiders. Yeah, that one did catch my eye as soon as you
Yeah,
opened up
that
the page.
yeah. Um, we keep going down the line here.
That
Cardinals
Chiefs Bengals
Cowboys. I
could be
feel like this could be
high
a high
scoring.
scoring game. Chiefs Bengals, yeah, high scoring. Bengals defense is trash, but their offense is solid, so they could put up they could put up a number on the Chiefs defense.
Yeah,
Not that the
which
Chiefs
would
have
be
a bad
great. Yeah.
defense, but the Chiefs defense also gets better throughout the year, so maybe they'll be really solid by then.
Yeah.
Rams and Ravens, this is one to watch. Both have really good defenses, but I mean, honestly, both have kind of solid offenses. So, hey,
Yeah.
look, you make it to week 17 with Russ and DK, you get a gift of the Detroit Lions. An absolute gift. Wow. That'd be great. Vikings at Packers, that's also a solid one they make it out too. Justin
Yeah.
Jefferson and Dalvin Cook, they could feast in that game.
The only
Uh,
thing you have to watch out, it's a primetime game.
oh, all right, I'm gonna take back the Justin Jefferson one, but still give me Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook
Yeah.
could, especially it's gonna be in
This one
Lambeau. It's
jumps
gonna be
out.
cold.
Niners, Texans. Anyone that plays the Texans jumps out to me. Mostert. It could be the rookie by then.
It's gonna be Trey Sermon by that time.
Trey
Yeah.
Sermon. Trey Lance could be playing in this game. You could
That
look up.
could be,
Yeah, he could be winning someone a fantasy championship. Just saying.
yeah.
Trey Sermon and Trey Lance could be winning someone a
Yeah.
championship. George
So
Kittle.
those
You
guys
can
are waiver
honestly.
pickups at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Kittle, feast. This is gonna
Mm-hmm.
be a good game if you got Niners defense. Ooh, you're looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, for the fantasy playoffs, I mean, at least in the championship Sunday, guys that jump out on the screen, like we said, Jonathan Taylor, anyone on the Niners,
Yeah. Yeah.
DK,
Uh,
Russ,
okay, yeah.
Dalvin Cook, Browns, Steelers. I don't really see anyone in that. If the Steelers defense is healthy, they're gonna have a good game. Browns defense is gonna have a good game. Could just be a defensive game. Don't
Yeah.
really expect much. But yeah, I mean, that's just going through. We're just giving examples of the fantasy playoffs since the schedules were released. Weeks 15, 16, 17, kind of what to look out for matchups. Obviously, this is way, way in the future. This is in January, so we got
Yeah.
months and months. But we're just saying, while you're drafting, you might want to take a look. Let's say you love the stack of DK and Russ. I'd love that stack too, but first two playoff matchups are tough. And if those are the two
Yeah.
guys that are giving you your most output of points, I mean, you might want to look at maybe potentially trading one throughout the season for something. Not obviously, I probably wouldn't say DK because receivers are hard to come by. But if you have a solid backup quarterback who has an okay playoff stretch, and you can get a good player for Russell Wilson, go for it. Trades are not
Yeah.
bad. Trades are not the enemy. People hate making trades. I don't know why. Stop vetoing trades.
Yeah. Don't fall in love with your own players. I think that's a big thing, you know.
Yeah.
And just look at, for the love of God, please look at schedules. Look at bye weeks. You don't want to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, next
Uh,
Monday when we do our mock draft Monday with Adrian, we'll have Adrian in on that one.
yeah.
It'll be a more updated mock draft because we have the schedules released finally.
Yeah. And you'll see there how bye weeks are part of it. You know, you have
Bye
to
weeks
look
are
at it. You don't
super
want to.
important. You don't want to have your top 4, 5 guys on the same bye week 'cause you're just gonna lose. Don't do what I did.
Yeah.
I remember that boomer bust lineup I played because I had people on bye and a couple
Mhm.
people were
Yeah.
injured.
If people buy. Yeah.
I played, I busted like crazy. I had less than 100 fantasy points. So.
And a game could be
And
what
yeah, a
keeps you
game
out of
could
the
be
playoffs.
what keeps you out of the playoffs. So
Yeah.
just because let's say you have a good record early on, like Alan did, don't be like, oh, I'm for sure playoffs because your season could go downhill quick,
Yeah.
and you could just start losing games down the pipeline when they matter the most. So one game could mean getting in, getting out, and so just take a look at matchups. They're super important. Obviously, throughout the season, there's nothing you can do. You just want to pick the guys that you like. That's fine, but you want for sure the playoff matchups are the most important. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you can never determine how well someone's going to do in a game, but you got to look at what's in front of you, and those defenses are nothing to play with.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
All right, well, I mean, that's it from us. That's it for me, Izhar. You got anything else?
No, that's basically it.
Yeah,
You
so
know, just be smart whenever you're drafting, whenever you're picking up from waiver wires. Look at the schedules.
look at the
Look at
schedules
what's
for waiver
upcoming,
wars. Yeah, like we're
and you
saying right
might.
now, Trey Sermon in the fantasy
Mm-hmm.
championship, say you make it, you can pick him up off waivers halfway through the season. I don't think he's going to play
Yeah. You
until.
could pick them up. What, 2 weeks before or so. You
Yeah,
know,
if you
just
got
look.
if you got someone on your bench that you're never gonna play, let's say you have some Miko Harmon or something, you're never gonna play him. Drop him,
Yeah.
stash yourself a Trey Sermon. We made a video about some rookie players to stash. No problem in stashing. And if an injury
Yeah.
does come by and you have to drop them, so what? It's okay. You can pick up
So
someone
be it.
else. So yeah,
Agreed.
but I mean that's it from us at BFF Fantasy Football. We'll be back tomorrow with another video. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow our Twitter and TikTok.